All right, so here we go. So welcome again, everybody. My name is Allison Carlson, and I am the training specialist here at Bureau Veritas North America. I want to go over just a few things before I hand everything over to our speaker. I want to let you guys, everybody know that we're going to be at the SQF Unites conference this year. We're going to be at booth 9. Please come out and see everybody, see our food, technical safety team, sales managers, everybody. They're going to be there. They'd love to meet you. And we also are currently running a sale on all of our training courses, and it's a 15% off sale. We do have a lot of new SQF dates available for the next 2 months. This is valid through March 31st. Make sure you sign up for that so you can get all of the new updates on the new edition 10. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit more about what we do here at BV and what we are. Our companies serve our clients and are inspired by society. They make Bureau Veritas a business to society service company that contributes to positively transforming the world we live in. Thanks to our unrivaled expertise, technology, knowledge, and worldwide presence, we support our clients by managing quality, safety, health, and sustainability risk to benefit the society as a whole. And our mission statement is shaping a world of trust by ensuring a responsible progress. And then here, just introducing a little bit more about how many employees and how awesome we are. We have 150,000 certified deliveries worldwide. We also have 146,000 companies certified around the world. We have over 8,100 auditors with strong experience in continuous skills development. And we are 300 of a Fortune 500 companies to work with Bureau Veritas. And 100 plus certification products and auditing solutions, 70 plus accreditations delivered by national and international bodies. And we service over 140 countries and operate in 80 countries. All right, and just kind of touch base, we do handle food, but we also do QSE, we do transportation, sustainability certifications, enterprise, customized audits, and training. All right, and a few housekeeping things here for today's webinar. I will be keeping microphones and cameras off. If any questions want to be asked, please do so with the Q&A chat box. And if we don't get your question answered during our Q&A, we will definitely reach out to you. We may not be able to answer everybody's questions just because the edition 10 has not fully come out yet. We may not be able to advise on certain topics. And then also the webinar will be recorded, and we will be doing a follow-up email to everybody with the slides and the recording. So I want to introduce you to our speaker today. This is Anissa Abenori. She is Bureau Veritas's North America Food Technical Manager. She oversees post-audit processes, auditor performance, and accreditation maintenance for Bureau Veritas. She serves as accreditation body representative for Briggs and leads version transitions across food standards, gives her direct insight to how new requirements are implemented in real certification environments. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and turn off my mic and camera and hand it off to you, Anissa.
Thank you, Alison. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be there with you today to review these new requirements that we are expecting to see for SQF with SQF Edition 10. As Alison mentioned, we don't have the final version yet, the final standard yet released. So all this is based on SQF communication and also GFSI expectation for those standards. So first of all, I would like to start with SQF Edition 10. We are all waiting this new edition for a long time now, but our wait will be ended soon as we are expecting to see the release of this Edition 10 in March 2026. SQFI is planning to release this new edition right before SQF Unites, so we may see and hear more information about this edition during SQF Unites. So some timeline and status on this edition 10. So as a reminder, edition 9 remains the recognized edition right now. Audits will continue under this edition 9 until we have the application of edition 10. So as I mentioned, the release is expected for March 2026, so in a few weeks. And we just, as you may know, we had this delay in the release due to GFSI benchmarking that was extended through March 2026. As always, when we have a new edition, we have a transition period. SQFI confirmed that we'll have a minimum of 6 months transition before to see audits started against edition 10. This is a minimum. From what the information we have right now, we can expect to see an application in January 2027, to be confirmed, obviously. We will see also additional codes, but later in the year. The focus right now is on food safety code in priority. As we already communicated and SQFI communicated, we have some main changes that were highlighted by SQF. So first, the food safety culture with a more robust implementation. We want to go away from this simple checklist or survey that everyone is implementing. We will want to see action plan and objective around food safety culture. Environmental monitoring, which will need to be risk-based. So that means when you determine a frequency or pathogen that you will look for, you need to justify this by a risk-based analysis. And the last one that we will be focused on today, the change management. This is a real new requirement, and when edition 10 will be applicable, we will want to see documented procedures and in order to have a proactive risk prevention and to prevent any incident and potentially recalls. But we'll talk about this change management more deeply today. So right now, if we are doing a reality check, in edition 9 today, we already have a change management, but this is scattered throughout the standard across multiple sections. There is no formal procedure expected or required today, and reactive. We can have a reactive approach in some cases. But what we are expecting to see with edition 10 is to have a stand-alone requirement that will be mandatory. That means you can't exempt this requirement from your certification scope. This will be applicable to all certified companies, and the objective is to have a more proactive risk prevention in place with formal procedure that will be mandatory once edition 10 will be applicable. What's at stake right now with change management? Obviously, if a change management is not properly managed, we can have food safety incidents, obviously audit non-conformance, but that also can impact your operation and your brand if some changes lead to food safety issues. So that's what we want to avoid right now with a more proactive approach on changes. So today's agenda. What you will learn today, what's changing, change management fundamentals. We will review also real-world scenarios and some pitfalls that are quite common, and we will finish with the timeline and what's expected. So what to expect? As I mentioned, today we are more in a reactive aspect. We have an issue identified following a change, and we can put corrective action. The change management procedure and documented procedure can be done, but this is not required by the standard. So it's like a basic compliance. What we will see with edition 10, as I mentioned, is a more proactive approach. So we will come from a reactive to prevention, more control, in order to maintain food safety in your facility throughout the changes. As I mentioned, procedure will be mandatory, and we will want to see a system maturity implemented thanks to this new requirement. So the idea is to shift toward the proactive risk prevention. This is where we want to go now with this new requirement. Why now? We have some context that lead to this. Obviously, GFSI benchmarking had a focus on this change management. We've seen some other GFSI standards moving to this implementation as well. But we can say that we have an average of 80% of food safety incidents that can trace back to uncontrolled chases. So that's a lot, obviously. And with this new proactive approach, we will be able to contain this and control and avoid those food safety incidents. As I mentioned, GFSI standards are all moving toward this mandatory change management requirement, and we've seen also some recent recalls that were led from a change management issue or uncontrolled. So I would say change management is today the foundation of food safety, of the modern food safety. What are we expecting to see in edition 10? So again, I would like to remind you that we don't have the final standards yet. So we are expecting to see some new items, but we can't guarantee 100% of the content of the requirement as we didn't see it yet. But from the information we've got, we will see a new requirement that will require the standalone procedure that will not be anymore scattering across sections. We will want to see formal approval, authority matrix, document risk assessment, verification evidence, and this will be applicable to all changes. So documentation, and we want to see documentation done, risk assessment. We want to see an approval workflow as well, an implementation plan, and obviously how you will validate and verify this, the implementation and how the change is successful or not. And obviously we want to see records. As you may know, during audits, we need to see records completed to confirm the implementation of this process. And the scope is actually all your activity, product, process, equipment, suppliers. Any change will be concerned by this new procedure. Who's affected? As I said, all company will be affected by this change management requirement. And all part of your activity may be impacted as well. At every level, that can be product formulation, supplier change, equipment modification, personal change, even packaging change. Every little change can lead to a potential food safety issue and will need to be properly managed with your new process implemented. Obviously, in edition 9, we can see that change management is already there in some sections, but we'll have a better understanding and organization of what we are expecting to see with edition 10. And every change will need to follow the formal change management procedure that you will implement. So let's talk now about some fundamentals in change management. I've put here some pillars that are important to consider when we are working on change management. So this is the 4-pillar framework. The pillar 1 is the identification. So we start to identify what is the change, who initiates the change, what triggered the request, and what documentation standard you will implement. Pillar number 2, evaluation and risk assessment. What is the food safety impact? Is there any regulatory implication or any resources requirement that you need to consider? Pillar number 3, approval and implementation. We need to have a clear approval authority and workflow on change management and a realistic implementation timeline and training and communication around this change. And to finish the pillar 4, verification and closure. Confirm that the change worked, that you have everything to monitor it properly in the correct period to confirm that this was done correctly and that's successful. And obviously, the final sign-off on the change. So that's interesting to consider when you have a change. Is those key questions. This is a way to see if you are ready for this change. First, asking for every change, what is changing and why? Clearly define the change and business driver. What are the risks if this is not managed properly or controlled properly? Food safety, quality, compliance, regulatory. How will we verify the success? We are coming back to verification of the correct and proper implementation. So this way to verify needs to be specific, measurable, and with specific and determined verification criteria. And finally, who needs to know? Do I need to inform my customer? Do I need to inform my certification body? And with these 4 questions, if you're not able to answer to one of these, then you can consider that your change isn't ready. So let's see some common pitfalls and some examples that can illustrate this change management. So let's start with pitfalls. Number 1, emergency changes. We all saw these type of changes happen in facilities. For example, we had an urgent production issue, so we bypassed the approval process and made the change immediately to fix this production issue. The risk here is that there is no risk assessment completed. We have no idea of what will be the impact of this change. There is no verification. Obviously, that will create audit non-conformities, but most important, that can trigger a mask a food safety issue. The solution here is to have a pre-approved emergency change protocol, and this needs to be part of your change procedure. Define what's qualified as emergency and determine in advance the post-implementation review. And obviously, you need to document all that. Another common pitfall is change suppliers that may be overlooked or that bypass the formal approval. For example, one supplier changed their ingredient sources, but we didn't treat it as a formal change. In this case, the main risk is that there is no allergen assessment, no verification of quality specifications, and a real potential food safety incident and regulatory violation. The solution here is to require a supplier notification when change trigger. And every supplier change needs to lead to automatically to a change management process. Verify the sources, that those sources met all specification, verify that there is no additional allergen that were not considered. And obviously, again, document all that. So this is a very important one because any little change in the ingredients, for example, can lead to a very high risk, food safety risk, and potentially outbreaks. Some common pitfall, so here, number 3, number 4, it's just a small update. So never underestimate minor changes. Minor changes can lead to big food safety issues. You need to assess all changes. Even if it's a slight change in your process, this needs to be assessed, and that needs to go through your change management process. Or the last pitfall that I've put here, no verification. So the change is approved, but you never verified that it worked. In this case, you can miss something. You can miss an issue, and potentially food safety issue. In this case, adding a mandatory verification step in your change management procedure will allow you to have success in this change management. I've put here some a verification checklist that can be used. So after a change, approved change, so this went through all the process. For the verification, you can ask you those questions. Did the change achieve its intended outcome? Were there any unintended consequences that we need to consider? Do we need additional monitoring? Should we communicate results to stakeholders? That's an important one as well. And are record complete for the audit? So again, documentation of every step of this change management is fundamental here. Let's talk about a success story in this case. The facility, mid-sized food manufacturer, they implemented the change management 6 months early. The change here is a new cleaning chemical introduced to the production line. What happened? The change request was submitted through the formal process. A risk assessment was done and identified an extended contact time needed. Verification, testing confirmed effectiveness of the new process, and all the staff was trained on the new protocol. And obviously, we have a monitoring established for a certain period to confirm the effectiveness of the new process. Here, we have prevented any compliance gap. Obviously, we are audit ready regarding the documentation, and most important, we don't have any food safety incident because we consider ahead any change, and in this case, the extended contact time needed for this new product. So here I would say the lesson is that if you are doing an early adoption, that will lead to operational excellence and obviously audit confidence. Another example, ingredient supplier change that may happen often. If you are not going through the formal change management, so in this case, new supplier is selected, you ordered the new ingredient, it is used, but there is no document risk assessment, no verification. And in this case, that may lead to a potential food safety incident, as we already discussed. But with a formal change management, you will identify first, submit the change request. You will evaluate. A risk assessment will be done. In this case, the food safety impact may be high. It will be approved by, for example, the quality manager. It will be properly implemented. You will do some trial batch testing and obviously staff training, and then you will verify that everything worked properly and as scheduled. So specifications are now confirmed. The audit result is good. I mean, you have all the completed documentation, and obviously you prevent any food safety incident. The food safety is protected. You identified the risk before the production, you verified the implementation, and all your staff is trained. So this is a good example of how can we manage a change for this specific example compared to a non-formal change process. Some takeaways that I wanted to add here. First, change management process as a reminder will be mandatory, not optional, not recommended. This will be required by the edition 10. I remind as well that this will be applicable to all sites with no exception. And we consider that the proper implementation can take 6 to 12 months. Start now will avoid last-minute scrambling. And obviously, early adopter will gain competitive advantage. Uncontrolled change may lead to the highest food safety risk. And I would say that's the most important thing that we need to keep in mind today. Change management may prevent a high food safety risk. This is not like bureaucracy, it's prevention, and that will protect your customer, your brand, and your business. And obviously, if you are treating change management as strategic priority, you will not only pass edition 10 audit, you will also gain operational experience and market credibility. So let's talk about the implementation timeline. Now we are under edition 10. We are expecting to see the new edition 9. We are expecting to see edition 10 in early March with an audit in beginning of audit in 2027. So you have time, but not too much, because this implementation can take time. Here we can split the phases in 4 parts. Phase 1 and 2, foundation and infrastructure, that months 0 to 6, you will need to develop the procedure. You have to set up the system and do the initial staff training. Then phase 3 and 4, execution and optimization. It's the full rollout. You will have to come to monitor your compliance against these new requirements and obviously drive continuous improvement. So if you're starting now, you will demonstrate maturity when it will be time for edition 10 audit. So as a conclusion, I would say that preparing for SQF edition 10 is really important, and especially for this entire new requirement. Key facts, again, reminding that audit will start around January 2027. This needs to be confirmed. So you will have between, let's say, 6 and more than 1 year, depending on when is your audit. But the opportunity here is that if you are implementing the change management now, you will be able to demonstrate maturity by the audit time. And if you're waiting too much, you may struggle to catch up. So I will finish this presentation by saying that change management actually is not optional. I would say that it's the foundation of modern food safety. Thank you all. I will be happy to answer to any question you may have.
Thank you, Anissa. That was wonderful. We do have one really good question I really want to get out. The first question is, does change management apply to when we produce ingredient from an existing approved supplier based on that company's supplier chain management?
Yeah, actually.
Want me to read that again?
Yeah, I can't see it. So if you can read it again, it will be great.
So it says, does a change management apply to when we procure ingredient from an existing approved supplier based on that company supplier chain management?
Apply, because you can't rely on other company change management. This is your responsibility to analyze and determine that the change is properly managed. So any change from your supplier, even though this supplier had a change management in place, needs to be reviewed internally by your company.
Okay. And here's our next one. It says, if our audit typically occurs in September, would it be under version 10?
In September of 2026, no, probably not. Yeah, we are expecting to see the start of edition 10 audit sometime around January 27. As I mentioned, we have a minimum of 6 months transition. So if the audit release in March, your audit in September will be again edition 9.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next one, should someone wait for the edition 10 release date if they are going to take the SQF practitioner course?
I would say that depends on the urgency or the need. I'm always recommending to be trained on the new version, but if your need is urgent and you need to comply now, I will recommend to go ahead and follow the training against edition 9 to be compliant, obviously, because as I said, right now we are under edition 9. So if you need the training now, I would not recommend to wait.
Yeah. And let me know if you need the training now. I can help you with that. All right, I'm going to keep going, okay? It says, if our blanket period is between the 12th of November to January 12th, which edition will we be using?
That will depend on when your audit is scheduled. So if, for example, your window is between November and beginning of January, then if your audit is scheduled in November or December, you will be against edition 9. If the application, let's talk about application January 1st. But if your audit is scheduled after January 1st, it will be against edition 10. So I would say if it's an announced audit, it will be either one of or the other. And if it's announced audit, then that will depend on the date agreed with your certification body.
Okay, great. All right, the next one is, are there recommendations for getting senior management to buy in with having to have a formally documented change management procedure?
Can you repeat, please, the question? I'm not sure I understood the beginning.
So are there recommendations for getting senior management buy-in with having to have a formally documented change management procedure?
So actually, the document, the procedure needs to be documented. And as always, senior management needs to be involved on all those changes at some level. So yes, I would say that senior management needs to be involved, but in any case, this procedure will be required. So it depends on the approval process that you would like to see in your documented procedure.
Right.
I hope I
Now here's
answered the question.
here's kind of like, what do I do? Is the change if is the change is temporary, how will it be done? Do I need to do the entire change of management process?
Yes, even if the change is temporary, we need to go through a change management process. We talked about emergency change. Sometimes it's just temporary because, for example, our supplier, we have an issue with our approved suppliers, so we have to do an emergency purchase. This is sometimes a one shot, but we need to manage this as a proper change management. So yes.
Okay. All right. Bear with me one moment. I'm just checking to make sure I've touched everybody's questions on here. All right. And we have. So once again, I want to let you guys know we are going to the SQF Unites conference for booth number 9. If you guys need training on the new edition, we're going to have that roll out here in next month. We have 2 training opportunities in March and 2 training opportunities in April, and we are offering a 15% discount. So we'll be giving you that information with our follow-up. And once again, we're going to have our whole team there at the conference, so we would like to meet you all. And again, thank you, Anissa, so much for doing this today. I really do appreciate it. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
Thank you.